What's happening, y'all? It's your boy Tony. I got a little special treat for you. I had just finished watching Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. This is my review. L4L.
Attention, Legion of the Lost.
Like I said, this was the 100th episode, and I wanted to expand my page so all of you guys can see, what else I can do, because this movie, honestly, it gave me a lot of expectations and a lot of what ifs. Like, I was hoping that it would go in certain directions. I'm going to be discussing everything from, like, the gaming lore to how they mixed it with the movie. I'm going to be, of course, like I said, spoilers. So, if you guys haven't watched the movie, stop this video, watch the movie, come back to this video, and then we can talk. And you can comment in the chat, in the comments, and tell me what you thought about it too, and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I got a lot of concerns, and I got a lot of questions, and I got a lot of good things about it too. So here we go, right? So the movie starts off in an orphanage with Chris and Claire Redfield, because that's where they're staying at right now. Their parents got into a car accident, I think that's what they said, or whatever the case may be. So for those fans out there who have played the game and watched the first Resident Evils, this is a completely different story. It's like they took it off the game, but they added their own little twist, and they didn't do like this whole Alice thing, which is kind of a good thing for me. But anyway, it starts off in the orphanage, just like the orphanage in Resident Evil 2 Remake, where they added that, and Claire had to go in there to find Sherry. But they changed it and made it to that Chris and Claire were from that orphanage, and and that's where it starts from there. So after losing their parents, they go to the orphanage. During this time, I don't know if you guys know who Lisa Trevor is, but she makes an appearance in here, and they changed it up to where Claire's woken up by her sounds. Like, she's not like deliberately going and waking her up and saying, hey, I'm this, and that. She's just like making subtle sounds and making like creepy introductions of herself, and Claire's just like, what the hell's going on? And plus, she's been experimented on by Umbrella, and her, verbal skills are limited. But she has a friendship with Claire because I guess like they share the same kind of bond or almost experience. Like, Lisa already went through the trials of the things or whatever, so she's just lurking around the grounds or whatever. And Claire was about to become something like that, but somehow Claire basically escaped that. So yeah, Lisa basically just hides around the whole area of everything, of the orphanage and stuff like that. Lisa also tries to help Claire during this, and she does. She helps her escape or whatever the case may be. And surprisingly, William Birkin, is directly controlling the orphanage. Like, he's running it, which is different from the video game, because in the video game you don't really see him do anything with the orphanage, but in the remake and with this, I'm sorry, not the remake to the game, but to the movie, they changed it up that he's running the orphanage. Yeah, this is present day. Raccoon City is not a metropolis like they said in the video games. They made Raccoon City kind of a small town, but it's still a city in some ways. They just made it into a small town. And the STARS members, I think they're still called STARS, but they made them more like a special brand of detectives, not like in the video games where these motherfuckers were like, military now. They had special training and all this other stuff. So we go to the part where we see Leon, which honestly, man, I have my ifs about Leon. I think they made him. I think they made him too much of a rookie, because I know he's a rookie, but like there was certain stuff in the movie that he was doing that was like, bro, you really shouldn't be a cop. And I didn't like how they did that to him, because in the games they made him like he wasn't a rookie, and at the same time he was. But this, they just completely just say we're gonna make him like the dumbest rookie, and I didn't like that, because Leon has more potential than that, I believe. Yeah, basically Umbrella just destroyed the city. They left it a barren waste. The people who could escape the city were basically the rich and the wealthy. They basically made it out. However, all the people that couldn't leave, like the poor and certain middle class people that couldn't leave, either right away or just couldn't, had no choice but to stay. And the movie basically just kind of starts off like, you know, it's already like everyone's already left, and the streets are all like, you know, deserted already. So they did that. And also in the beginning they gave Claire a different intro. She doesn't come in on a motorcycle, which would have been hot. If she would have had her own motorcycle coming into town, that would have been hot. But they didn't. They changed it up. What they did was that they had the truck driver have a dog in the back, driving to Raccoon City, or going through Raccoon City, because that's where apparently Claire was going, because Claire was in the passenger seat. In the remake to Resident Evil 2, Claire wasn't in the cab, in the truck with the guy. She made it into the city, into a gas station on a bike. So just to let y'all know about that. Also, yeah, so they were coming into town. Next thing you know, the dog gets freaking worried a little bit, and they crash. Like, they hit something hard. Like, the dog kind of sensed it a little bit before, because you know how dogs have them senses. But they were driving, and next thing you know, they hit a zombie or something. Whatever it was just walking by and didn't even care to look both ways. But it was something. And when they went to go check what it was a dead woman. And she was in a lab coat. And I was like, really? Okay, this is how they're doing this. Not bad so far. They could, you know, they look at the woman, you know, and then the truck driver, if you play the video games, to all my fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. He starts acting frantic. He doesn't know what to do. He just got into an accident. He killed a woman, or whatever this person was. I think it was a woman. They killed this woman, and he's freaking out. And that's in the game. But in this situation, he still does the freak out, and Claire's trying to help him calm down, but you see the body like bounce off, and that was pretty cool. That was like, all right, cool, that's what's up. That gave me a little scared. I did like that part. And when they turned around, the body wasn't there. Dog comes out of the cab because, you know, it's worried about its owner, but at the same time, it smells something, and it checks what it smells, and it ends up licking the blood of the person that fucking walked off. Crazy. I was like, whoa, something bad's gonna happen. And you know what? It did. So they leave the scene. Claire just ends up going back into town, and she ends up going to see her brother at the house that he's living at. He was home, and Claire broke in. And Chris was kind of impressed, because he was like, girl, how'd you freaking come into my house? That's a sophisticated lock. Like, no one can really break that. It takes like a professional to do it. And she did it. And they had this conversation about, you know, why she's been gone. Umbrella helped me out. You weren't there. Umbrella was. Chris was basically dogging his sister because she left. And her excuse was, well, no one believed me that people are experimenting on people in the city. And he was like, well, whatever, they've been there for me and all this other stuff. I gotta go. Chris is a STARS member. He's a cop. But the thing is that in the game, there was no quarrel between Claire and Chris. They just like grew up with each other, and Chris taught her everything that he could, and then they went their separate ways because she went to college and he did the military thing, and then he became STARS members or whatever. But in the movie, they had a quarrel, and she ended up leaving because Chris didn't believe what was going on in the orphanage and everything with Umbrella. And in fact, in this one, Umbrella helps him basically get him into whatever he needs to get into. Like, you know, he becomes a police officer, he joins STARS, and it's all help from William Birkin. That's the twist. Because in the game, there was no really real connection with William and Chris. But in the movie, they made that connection because, remember guys, they're combining 2 video games into one movie. They're taking the first one, the first Resident Evil, and they're taking the first Resident Evil and the second Resident Evil, and they're mashing it together, and they created a story. So that's what's going on. So Claire, back to Claire, she goes to the house, and now we focus on Chris and Wesker, and you meet Jill at the diner, which Amy's diner. Amy's diner was in the original Resident Evil 2 when Claire came into town, and you saw the name of the restaurant or the diner or whatever, and they used that in this movie, which was cool. I thought that was cool. But anyway, you meet most of the cast inside the diner, and you find out also that Wesker is not part of no Wesker project. Like, if you follow the lore of Resident Evil, he's not part of the Wesker project. What they did was, in this movie, they changed the story to he was just a cop that just signed up to a company that was against Umbrella, and he was tasked to find information on them and get all this stuff that they could. That's what they changed. Anyway, back to the diner. You meet the rest of the people, and then Leon, gets his ass handed to him by another cop that walks in. That's not part of STARS. He's just one of the local cops, and finds out about him and just gives him the 3rd degree and all this other shit. And in that scene, when everyone leaves, and Leon is the last one there or whatever, he notices that this woman at the diner who's running it, the waitress, she starts bleeding from her eye, like she's crying. And he's like, "What's wrong with your eye?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll just go to the doctor and find out." Or so she said something like that. Weird. That was crazy. Also, Chief Irons. Now, to all my fans out there, we all know who Chief Irons is. He's the corrupt chief of police of Raccoon City that got paid by William Birkin and and his wife. I forgot his wife's name, but anyway, his wife, and they paid it. However, in the movie, they changed it to where William was just the sole person doing everything, and the wife was just there, basically being a wife. They didn't even explain that she was part of the project. But in the game, she was a scientist too. Movie, she's just a wife. They also had Sherry, who didn't look like Sherry too. This one had brown hair. Sherry always had blonde hair, but hey, whatever. You know what? For the way they did it, it worked. So back to Chief Irons. We all know he's in the games. He's the corrupted cop. In the game that he's the corrupt. He gets paid, whatever, all that stuff. And he sends the team on a helicopter trip to the mansion because of stuff that's been going on in the mountains. Like they following the first one where there was stuff in the mountains going on, people being eaten, animals attacking people from out of nowhere, and just people disappearing, and it's all leading from the Spencer Mansion. Which the Spencer Mansion, for what they did, it's not bad. How they made it look, and all this other stuff. But what they changed from that was, instead of them landing and then them going off and then being chased by dogs and then one of them getting eaten by the dogs and they all had to go into the mansion, they changed that where they just landed and they just went right into the mansion. So back to what I was saying. Chris is gone, Claire's in the house, and next thing you know, she's greeted by two mother and son who are infected, and the son kind of sneaks into the house under the table, and the mother is like basically outside on a window putting on, which everyone knows what this is, tasty, itchy, scratchy. If you guys know from the lore from Resident Evil, the first one, it was part of the notes that one of the researchers wrote before he was turning, because as he was turning, he was writing. That's crazy. Anyway, that happened. And next thing you know, the kid breaks in, Claire's looking under the table and all this other stuff. It's like, what are you doing? And the kid says the most creepiest shit to her before the mother breaks in and tries to bite her, but ends up just going crazy because she's being infected by the virus that's going on. So now, back to the police station. Leon is there, and he's talking to Chief Irons about everything. And again, everyone's giving Leon the third degree. They're treating him like a rookie. And you know what? They made him look like that. And like I said, I didn't like it. Claire ends up going to the police station on her bike and ends up seeing William, because at the same time, William gets a call saying that he has to go back to Umbrella and all this other stuff, and he brings his wife, and that's where Claire and William lock eyes, because they almost hit each other, because she was going one way, he was going the other, and they lock eyes. They noticed each other, and he ended up speeding off. She ended up going the way she was going. William ended up back at the laboratory, and now Leon is just sleeping in the front office, where they show a beautiful picture of the statue of how you get the key in the first Resident Evil 2. In the original Resident Evil 2, you have to do a code, not a code, you gotta get a metal piece, boom, comes out, you get the key. Anyway, you see that statue back there. In Resident Evil 2, you had to get the 3 coins, you gotta put them in, and then you can go down. For my Resident Evil fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. For my people who don't know about Resident Evil or are starting to get into Resident Evil, spoiler alert, that's what happens. Now, back at the police station, we find our sleeping comrade Leon in front of the office, sleeping. And next thing you know, we get some views of the truck driver turning. And that scene was pretty cool, how he acted, how he was turning and everything. That was crazy because he got bit by his dog. His dog got infected. You saw the eyes, it was pure white. I was like, holy shit. And he got bit and he started turning. And what's crazy is that just like in the game, the truck went right to the police station and crashed right in front of the police station and blew up right there. What was new about that was the driver came out of the freaking thing on fire and went up to Leon as he was sleeping in front of the office in a chair, and Irons was the one that had to shoot the guy in the head. And that's when this guy woke up and did all this stuff. Now, we're gonna go back to the mansion now. And now we're back at the mansion and nobody knows what's going on back home. So they're just going in. This is what kind of threw me off because as they went in, Brad, the helicopter pilot, stayed waiting for the crew to come back. Now, he gets attacked by zombies, and that's that. We don't know what happens. But we go back into the mansion, and everyone's in the mansion, and everyone's in, and everyone's like looking around, and everyone's like, what do we do? What the hell is this? Da da da. And like I said, they don't know what to expect, which is pretty cool. They made everyone, look like they didn't know what to expect. They did take the scene from where you saw the zombie do that whole turn thing. Yeah. They did put that in there, which I thought was not bad at all. I thought they did it perfect a little bit. They kind of redid it. Not bad. Yeah, so they go in and then they start searching the house, and that's when they find the zombies. The zombies just start coming out of nowhere because they start searching, and then they slowly start coming out of nowhere. They just didn't just like come and just they slowly started coming, and the way they made them look and the way they made them move and the way they were acting and stuff, it was not bad at all. What was crazy, what I liked was how they were fighting the zombies. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were using regular SMGs, you know, they didn't even specify the handguns that they were using, because if everyone knows, all my Resident Evil fans, the STAR's handgun, they didn't even talk about that. This is one of my favorite scenes of the fights between the zombies, was where Chris was alone. He didn't know where Jill was. He didn't know where any of the team members was. He already lost a teammate, and he's going around with an SMG trying to get the hell out of the mansion now. And he's going around and killing these guys like, wow. Like, his military training went in effect hard. What I also liked is the night scene, like the dark time scene where he was in a dark room and zombies were coming, and all you saw was gunfire as he was fighting the zombies, and you couldn't really see unless he was shooting. So basically, he needed to see fire, the gunfire, to see what was in front of him to kill the zombie or the zombies around him. And also, they used the lighter. For all my fans who know, the lighter is a key thing in Resident Evil 1 and 2 and 3, because the lighter was used for certain mechanisms to open up and all that other stuff. So when he used the lighter, I was like, cool, they bought the lighter. And that scene where he was lighting and his boy that got eaten already was coming at him. That scene was crazy. So now they're all looking for each other, and they're all scattered in the mansion, and everyone's basically dying. And now the mansion's big. For all my fans know that it's big, because it's like one side and then it's the other side, and then it's a big mansion. That's just the mansion alone. Now, I'm not even mentioning the residents and the underground laboratory its own. So anyway, they all get attacked. On Chris's side, they all get attacked. Jill and Wesker are investigating one other side of the mansion, and he miraculously starts playing the piano, and he has a Palm Pilot. Yo, I haven't seen a Palm Pilot in so many years. Yo, for my people out there, for my youngins that don't know what a Palm Pilot is, it was basically like the first iPhone back in the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it was crazy. But he had a Palm Pilot, and he was being contacted by someone, probably the organization that he's working for against Umbrella, to go find stuff. To go find the stuff for the things for Umbrella, the virus or whatever any information that they could use. And he has the Palm Pilot, and he starts doing that. Now, during this, and as he's playing the piano, he starts talking to Jill about, come on, I'm just a small-time cop. I'm getting paid for this, It's money, I don't care. And he basically just shows his true colors, that he doesn't care about the team, and he's doing this for the money, and Jill's heartbroken, and he's about to go into the underground laboratory that he found by playing the piano. Next thing you know, a helicopter crashes right through the fucking window of the mansion. Now, for my Resident Evil people, Brad survived. He made it to the Resident Evil 3 game. Okay, that's the game. In the movie, they killed him off immediately. They killed him off completely. And for my people who know about the helicopter crash, that helicopter crash wasn't supposed to happen in the mansion. It was supposed to happen in part 2 at the police station. If you played the first one, it happened on the roof of the police station going in. Like going on top. You got my man one of the cops shooting and he gets attacked by zombies and kills the pilot by accident. In the second one, no one knows how the pilot crashed. It just crashed into the building. So they just left it like that. But anyway, now we're gonna go back to Raccoon City. We're gonna go back to the police station. My man Chief Irons knew everything that was going on. So Chief basically was like, pulled the opie dope. You know, he was like, you guys stay here, I'm gonna check stuff out. And the motherfucker ends up leaving. He tries to leave town. But here's another good scene that I liked that happened. You got to see the Umbrella uniforms, the USS Umbrella Corps Hunk, which I hope that's Hunk and his team or whatever. But the guy that they showed with the mask, he looked like Hunk. So it might be, it might not be, I don't know. But Chief tries to escape and gets his car shot the fuck up. And that was a funny scene to me, especially with the music playing in the background that's played. I don't want to spoil it for y'all. I'll let you find out with the music that was playing in the background. But it was a good track. And he ended up coming back to the police station. He was like, fuck, I can't leave town. So he ends up coming back to the police station. And he ends up meeting up with Claire and Leon. And they end up saving his life. Crazy, right? How everything turns out. That's crazy. Anywho, Chief Irons tells them that we gotta get out of here. The helicopter's not coming. We gotta bounce. You know, this is not happening. He's trying to escape, and he knows that there's an exit. It's through the orphanage, because the orphanage has an underground passage that leads to the Spencer Mansion. And if they can get to the Spencer Mansion, they can get the helicopter and get the hell out. But as I said before, nobody knows that the team is basically dead and the helicopter's crashed. Now shit's starting to get serious, and they had to go to the armory and they had to load up. Again, they made Leon a rookie in this because he didn't even know how to work a shotgun. That pissed me off. Because if you played the Resident Evil 2 game or the Resident Evil 2 original, his main weapon was the shotgun. It was the handgun and the shotgun. And those two were his best weapons, and they made him look like a bitch trying to figure out the shotgun. Claire knew how to do it, no problem, which I expected. Zombies are now coming to the police station. People have just gone crazy now. Now it's gotten to the point where people are randomly walking the streets, and they're all, for some strange reason, heading to the police station from whatever memory they have left. The gates are locked. Leon already locked it. Irons already told them to fucking, let's get this shit packing because there's going to be more. We're not even playing. Now, back to Claire, and she finds out that the guy that, in the video that she showed Chris, is in the jail cell. And he looks fucked up. Like, he looks like he's about to turn. Like, his skin is pale. Not to mention that there's someone else that we don't see in the jail cell with him. And that motherfucker already turned. Okay? Anywho, he tells him what's going on. He freaks out Leon, tells him all this stuff. He ends up trying to escape, but, you know, the zombie came alive and killed my man Ben, and they had to shoot him, and they had to shoot the zombie, and they end up going to the orphanage, and that's where you see more of the lore of what happened with Claire. That's where you start seeing Lisa Trevor more. And this is where you see Chief Irons gets his demise, finally, because I was waiting for this motherfucker to die. Like, I was really waiting for him to get his, because he knew the whole time, he knew what was going on, and all this other stuff. Oh, quick side note, for all my fans out there, we all know Chief Irons was like a womanizer, if you will. He liked to kidnap women, you know, and like use them, and he was a hunter. And he would like to, you know, take beautiful women and do stuff, like taxidermy stuff. Yeah. It's anyway. But they took that out of the movie. So and they just made him a chief who knew what was going on. But anyway, he gets his demise by the first time seeing an actual liquor. And the liquor looks exactly from the video game, which I thought they did pretty good. Not bad. Looks exactly from the video game from 1 and 2. No, I'm sorry, not 1 and 2. Just from 2. I'm sorry, because the liquor didn't come till 2. But in the original and the remake of 2, yeah, it looked great. And we finally see Lisa Trevor in action instead of being this crazed monster that got experimented on. And she went crazy. She ended up helping Claire and Leon after Chief got his shit rocked. And ends up breaking the liquor's neck or jaw at the same time. And she ends up giving her the keys to the underground laboratory that she needs to go to, which I have a pair of my own. Look at that. Look at that. You can see it? Yeah, it's in the plastic, but I got my own set of keys. Anyway, and they end up going to the Spencer Mansion. Now, back to Chris and Jill. They're fighting for their lives. They're shooting. They're killing zombies. They end up going and following Wesker into the laboratory. And that's where you find William and his family. And basically, Wesker surprises them. And Wesker ends up shooting William, and he gets shot back. Fucking shots go off again. The wife ended up dying. Freaking Sherry's the only one there witnessing everything. This poor little girl witnessing everything. And also Wesker got shot too, and that's how he ended up dying here. In this part. When everyone starts coming together. Everyone starts coming together now. They start finding each other. And they find Wesker. And he's fucking on the floor dying. And he ends up dying because Jill shot him. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I don't want to spoil it too much of what happens. I'll let you guys watch the movie. But yeah, shit starts happening. And Jill ends up shooting Wesker. So now, William, who we all thought is dead, is not dead. He ended up injecting himself with the virus. And now he's mutating. And now he's chasing these people, especially Chris. They all had to split up because now they have to escape, and they found an escape route. They found a train, just like in the second one. This is what they did different. In the first Resident Evil, in the original and the remake, they escaped through helicopter with Brad. With this one, they combined 1 and 2, and they took the second Resident Evil ending where they escaped through the underground railroad that the Umbrella had. They had a train system that led out of Raccoon City to the mountains. They ended up finding that. William's changing. He's antagonizing and trying to get into Chris's head. Chris is getting his shit rocked by this motherfucker, which was, I thought it was a cool fight scene a little bit, you know, how he was mutating with the eye and everything. That shit was crazy. Which I also found out that the reason why that eye is there is because he lost his sight. The reason why he has the eye is because he could see more. The eye, as soon as he opens his eye, he could read everything because he lost his sight here. And it's proven when you see him transform from when the other head pops up and then his head starts shifting over to the chest area. So all you see is his original face that's not working anymore. And now it's this one that's working, but the eye is what sees everything. I found that out and I was like, oh, okay. They tried to escape. Doesn't go well. William ends up finding them. And out of nowhere, as they're fighting this monster, Leon decides to come with a rocket launcher and destroy the monster. Now, in real life, if this was a rocket launcher, like a real rocket launcher, and he would have done that, honestly, he would have been lucky if he was the only survivor. Because a real rocket launcher would have destroyed everything in that site. But since this is a movie, it destroyed the monster, somewhat of the back of the train, and everyone still survived. Crazy, right? The ending, how they walked out, I didn't like. I think it was too like 1980s action flickish, a little bit too much. How they just walked out of the tunnel, of the like, just like in the Resident Evil, but it wasn't like it. I didn't like it too much. It seemed like, you know, these guys were hurting throughout the whole movie, and then once they come out of the tunnel, they're just walking fine. I didn't like that. But they all ended up escaping using Resident Evil 2 ending with the train and them leaving out of the tunnel, walking out. Oh, just to let everybody know, everyone thinks that Raccoon City got nuked. No. The reason why there's no radiation from the blast that happened to Raccoon City is because they use a thermal type of bomb. Just to let y'all know. So anyone asking, oh, how come no one got affected by the radiation, it's because they didn't use a nuke that caused radiation. They use a thermal one. Crazy. Anywho, so that's basically the story of the movie Resident Evil and how they did it. Now, I gave you the story. Here's my take on it. I think they did a pretty good attempt for this movie by combining two video games. I think it was a challenge. I think that the people that did this did the best that they did, because honestly, it was a good movie. However, I really wish that they would have left Leon looking like Leon and didn't make him so much as a rookie. Claire, perfect. I think the way she looked and the way she acted was just like how I felt like Claire would have acted. Chris looks like Chris. The actor who plays Chris, he looks exactly like the young Chris before he got bulkied up, because throughout the games he gets more muscled up from his training in the BSAA and all that stuff. But for a young Chris right now, just STARS member, whatever, perfect, great. The way he acted, the way he did the fight scenes was great. I'm sorry, but Leon did not look like Leon, and that's what bothered me. And they just made him look too much like a rookie. I'm sorry I had to go back to that, but I just had to say that. Jill, I'm conflicted. Reason why I say that is because Jill looks like Jill and doesn't look like Jill, acts like Jill but doesn't act like Jill. I'm kind of torn on what to think about the Jill that they portrayed in this movie. Wesker, I don't know why he lost his English accent, because basically throughout the whole franchise he had an English accent, but from what I heard, the reason why he has an English accent is not because he's from England over there. It was just over the years, people who have voiced him kept trying to copy from each other. So basically the first person who did the voice of Wesker, other people were trying to copy, and then so forth and so forth. Everyone was copying each other, and that's why he ended up sounding more British or more European than anything. But in this case, they made him sound American. And like I said, they changed his story. He's not part of the Wesker project or any type of project from Umbrella. He has no ties to Umbrella like that. He's just a small cop in this movie that just got greedy and wanted the money and decided to go against Umbrella to find research and stuff for a competing company. They changed that story. Chief Irons, I love the actor who plays Chief Irons. I am a big fan of his work. The first time I've seen him was in Blade. That was the first time I seen that actor in Blade. He did a pretty good henchman and a villain sidekick. You know, he did good. And in this role, he played Chief kind of to the T. Like, not 100%. I would give it 90%. 90% he gave his all to act like Irons and everything, and it kind of worked. So I like the actor who did that, and he did a good job. Overall, I have to give the movie an A. That's it. No A minus. No, you know what? I will give it an A minus. Here's why. Because like I explained to you before, there was just certain things that I didn't like. How they made certain characters not look like each other and stuff like that. So I give it an A minus. It's a movie for fans to watch because it was basically made for the fans. But for people coming into it, you guys are going to have a little hard time trying to figure it out. And most likely it's going to make you play the video games. I think that's what they were aiming for. Who knows? But regardless, I'm a fan. Okay? And comparing it to the first ones that came out, honestly, I would have to say I like the new one more. I like the first original movie, Resident Evil 1 and 2, and then after that, I didn't like the franchise at all. They just went a whole different route. They went too action-packed. There was just too much explosion and all this stuff, and I didn't like it. But I liked the first one and the second one. Now, when this came out, the new one, and I watched it, I was like, I like this. Because they gave it more realness. You know what I'm saying? It was more real. You know, it wasn't like, you know, they had to do this whole Alice thing or whatever the case may be. But all in all, I like the movie, and I suggest some of you guys, no, not some of you guys, I suggest all you guys go out there and watch it. See it for yourself. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, please. You can help the channel out so much. And yeah, that is my take on Resident Evil. I hope you guys like my new video, because this is going to be my 100th episode, and I'm going to put this up. Also, bonus material, I'm going to have my gameplay from Resident Evil. New gameplay for me. I'm going to have Jill gameplay. I'm going to have Chris, oh not Chris, Jill, Leon, and Claire gameplay for you guys to watch, including this video that I'm doing for you guys right now. So without further ado, thanks guys. You know, I appreciate you stopping by. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, enjoy the movie when you guys see it. Let me know what you think, and I hollers. It's your boy Catlow, known as the Lost One, Shadowbox Inc, Shadowbox Gaming, and I hollers. Peace. New lost order. Loss is the cause and money is the motive. Yeah, I'm with that shit. Loss is the cause and money is the motive. Yeah, I'm with that shit. Loss is the cause and money is the motive. Yeah, I'm with that shit. Loss is the cause and money is the motive. Yeah, I'm with that shit.